So that question is interesting. There's something wrong with the way you're approaching it if you're saying that the builders are missing things that are in the quantity surveying report or the report is not accurate. So your first step is to get a good quantity surveyor. The quantity surveyor's job is to measure up all the plans in as much detail as possible. They have to work quite closely with the architect and with you as the owner or the developer. And they need to then go and come up with a costing. They need to look at what's the prices of bricks and what's the prices of stone and steel and concrete and all of that. And they've got to work out the rates for that. What's the rate per square meter for certain aspects of the building that you want to do and all of this stuff. So you've got to have a good quantity surveyor that has worked in that specific, it helps to have a good quantity surveyor that has worked in that specific type of development. So if it's residential, make sure the guy has done that before. But it's not 100% necessary because quantity surveying is something that they are educated and taught to do all different or quite a lot of different types of development and cost those developments. But make sure you've got a good quantity surveyor and that they are briefed properly and that there's enough detail from the architect. So I think where there's one pitfall is people don't have a good architect that's done a detailed design. And it's good to have the design and the layout, but there needs to be a specifications list. The architect needs to specify what type of tiles, what type of paint and what color of paint. Those things add up. What carpets, what's the spec of the kitchens, of the cupboards, of the bathrooms, and all these things. So make sure you put as much time and effort into the planning initially so that the quantity surveyor is briefed properly and can cost those things properly. And then you shouldn't have a big difference between what the quantity surveyor has taken into account and what the builder comes back with. You do, unfortunately, get a lot of unscrupulous builders out there in this industry. We've been through quite a few of them. So then you need to get a good builder. Once again, check references, see what projects they've done. Talk to people that builder has built for in the past and whether they would use them again or not. That's a very important thing. And then the job of the quantity surveyor, if he's appointed on a full-time basis, is to actually be your representative against the builder, to make sure that the builder comes in at a price that is the correct price. And if the best way is probably to go out on tender, what we call a closed tender. So you've got your bill of quantities, and then the quantity surveyor can run a tender process for you, where you select a few builders that you know can deliver, and you go out to them, let's say 5 builders, you ask them if they'd like to tender, you give them all the same documentation, and the quantity surveyor runs that process, and they come back with pricing, and they can ask questions and this and that, and they come back with the price at the end of the day. And then that price is pretty much what they need to do. There are certain caveats, certain things that can go up and down, but you can also negotiate with the builder. So typically what we like to do is we negotiate a fixed price contract with the builder. We agree that that's the price that he's going to do, and he takes the risk of something going up or down or prices fluctuating, the price of materials and things like that. But there is also a different way of doing it where, if you're doing a fixed price, the builder might charge a little bit more to, price in the risk to them if something goes up and down. But there is also a way of not doing it, and then the prices can fluctuate. But the quantity surveyor needs to check that, and he needs to, throughout the process, confirm that that's correct. Because every time the builder builds, at the end of the month, he has to say what he's done, and you have to have a quantity surveyor or an architect, if they're qualified to do so, to confirm that what the builder said he's built and what he's claiming for has actually been done. And also to refer back to the quantity surveying report, the bill of quantities, to see that we're still on track and you're still on budget. So you should never ever have a scenario where the budget is wrong compared to what you're actually paying. There is, however, a scenario where, and it's common, where the builders too sometimes try and take a bit of a chance. But then again, you need a good quantity surveyor, and that's where you start modifying the build or the development during construction. So typically what you get on residential projects, I'm talking about fancy houses and things where it's quite a lot of emotion, where your wife is the one that wants to make changes, or you thinking, hey, the braai must be bigger or smaller or moved, or add a braai, make the pool bigger. the wife wants a more expensive kitchen, and there you get penalized quite a lot because the builders priced something and then they say, well, okay, there's now new work that needs to be done, and sometimes they try and charge quite a bit of margin on that. So it's best to get all of that out of the way in advance. And yes, there will be changes, but agree on each and every change. Let the quantity surveyor check and cost that change, allow a little bit of fat in there, and then let the builder confirm that that was actually the price. We had a similar incident. As developers, you'd think that we always know what we're doing. We built a house in Plet a while back for myself, for my wife and myself and the children. And my wife managed the process, and she did a very good job. But we had a bit of a run-in with the builder where we were told that that's going to be the price. Yes, we did make changes. We made some changes on the project, and it was, the problem with the smaller builder is, they sometimes the administration is not up to scratch, and they give us a price and they say, cool, it's going to cost extra for that. And we got to the end of the project and we said, well, listen, we want to know what is the total going to be. And the builder gave us a figure, and he said, he said it's going to be an extra 300 grand, or we need another R1 million to finish the house. So we budget for that, and after the house is done, we get or before the house was done, about a month before, we got a bill for like 1.7 million, 700,000 rand over. I'm using figures that wasn't the actual figures, but it was something like that. And we just said, no, we can't do that. And they said, no, well, they've spent extra money and this and that. But the builder can't do that. They need to ask you need to confirm in advance what it's going to cost. And they need to agree. And you got to watch out for that, because sometimes the builders, not all of them, but sometimes they run into financial difficulty on another project and they get greedy, or another client doesn't pay them, and then they quickly try and make that money on your project. So it's difficult. You've got to know exactly what's going on. Take it slow, but it's difficult to take it slow when you're in a construction process and you're busy finishing your house. You want to move in at the end of the year, and you're rushing. So you've got to be careful. So get a good quantity surveyor, get a good architect, and then get a good builder, and then watch them like a hawk. Then that'll take a lot of the heartache and things away. You should never be, and a lot of people make that mistake. They develop or they build their houses and they think they can do it better if they do it themselves, which you can if you give it the time and effort, but there's certain fundamentals that you still need to maintain, things that you need to do. And a lot of people also think they've got a friend that is a builder and he's going to do it cheaper for them. It's not the case. Be very careful of that. I think I've spoken about that before. It's very hard to do business with a friend, especially if he's your builder, and the temptation a lot of the time is for them to take advantage of you, and they do, unfortunately. And then it's the end of that friendship. So don't even go down that road.